Hi, I'm Dan.
And I'm James.
And welcome to the Cornwall Property Podcast, where every week we bring you the latest news, hot topics and guidance around the Cornwall property market.
Stay tuned to be informed, inspired and to have any of your property related questions answered by trusted local property professionals.
Welcome back to the Cornwall Property Podcast. We're here, episode 12. I have got my beautiful partner here, James. If you're watching on video podcast on YouTube, you'll notice that James isn't here with me in the studio. James is currently off with COVID, unfortunately. But he is here on the iPad in front of me here. So if you see me looking down, I'm just staring into his beautiful eyes. But James, you all good, mate?
All good. It just is what it is. But yeah, feeling pretty positive. I'm not feeling too bad. So
brilliant. Long may that continue. Long may that continue. And I appreciate you getting involved with this as well. So I know you're not feeling 100%, mate. So thank you from everyone here. So this is our favourite episodes, James. Ask Dan and James. So this is where we get your questions into us. But again, if you're not familiar with the Cornwall Property Podcast, we are here to inform, educate, inspire, and to get you guys more confident with property, I suppose, and brought up to date with what's going on in the Cornwall property market. And the big issue, we all know, I'm sure by now, is that there's a housing crisis. And our aim is to help bridge this gap between the number of empty properties in Cornwall and the amount of people that are looking for accommodation, needing homes. So we want to try and bridge that gap. So that's why we're here. Essentially, that's what motivates us, and that's what gets us out of bed to come in here and record this here at the beautiful Cornwall Channel Studios. So James, tell us a little bit more about what we've got in store.
Yeah, so this is your turn to ask us the wonderful questions, and we get to interact with you and hear, what's going on your side of the fence. And just as a quick reminder, you can go to cornwallpropertypodcast.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the webpage and you can send your messages into us that way. But also you can find us, as you know, on social such as Facebook, where you can go on there and send us any property related questions that you want some advice or just generally to have a chat about. So without further ado, we've got question 1 from lovely Florence, nice name, in Wadebridge. I'm thinking of remortgaging my property as I have around 190,000 of equity tied up. It's amazing. However, I don't know if I should pay the penalty to get out of my mortgage now, which will be around 140,000, or wait 2 years when the fixed mortgage rate is finished. I don't yet know which route I should choose, property investment-wise, whether that be holiday lets, HMOs, or buy-to-let, or long-term council lease. What would you recommend, Dan?
Just confirm, what's the early repayment? What's that cost there? You said 140,000. That seems expensive. Was that one? Is it what? Is
it? Sorry, apologies. It must be the COVID talking. It is at £1,040.
Phew. Right, that sounds a bit more like it. Okay, phew. I got nervous then. I was like, what are we thinking about here? So, Florence.
Yeah, apologies.
Florence, 190k equity. That's great. It's a really, really strong amount. And I think there's two things here. So you've got money built up in your property, which is fantastic. You're interested in taking it out, but you're unsure on what you want to do with it. So first of all, I'd be thinking, I've got this money out my mortgage. I've got this lump sum now, and then I'm thinking, what am I doing with it? It's now, obviously, as soon as you take that equity out, your mortgage payments are going to increase because you've obviously borrowed far more. But with regards to that early repayment penalty, I think the simple way of looking at this, Florence, is that's going to cost you £1,040 to exit that mortgage early or to take this money out. Well, just do the numbers simply. If you were to sit and wait for 2 years, you no longer have to worry about that £1,040 you can then release when you remortgage. Or if you take this money out, are you going to be making more than £1,040 over the 2 year period? Providing it's not just sat in your bank, because you're not getting much on the interest rates at the minute, providing you're doing something with that money productively, surely that should weigh up. I'd like to think that you should be able to make that sort of money back and some within that time frame. So those are the sort of first equations you need to look at, Florence. Can you make more than £1,040 over the 2 year period by taking this equity out? If you can, and you're confident you can, fantastic. I think you've just answered your question. Now, with regards to what worries me a little bit here is that you're quite woolly in terms of what and where you want to go, because you mentioned, I heard then, James, was a holiday let, HMO, buy to let, working with council, that these are all just such a vast array. It's kind of like they refer to it as like the gold penny syndrome, isn't it? Like as soon as you walk past, you see, oh, that looks nice on the floor, sort of thing. So it looks like you're scattergun in terms of, I like this, like this, like this. You really need to pin down exactly what you want from property, Florence, I think, in terms of what is it you need? Is it the big cash flow numbers that you need? Is it the HMO that you want to try and increase your cash flow every month? Is it you just want a little safe buy-to-let in the corner that you're not having to worry about? It's a bit more passive in terms of how much work and input you need to put in each month. Then I think that's something you really need to focus and pin down on, is exactly what do you want from property in the long term, because that will then help steer you into what direction you want. Obviously, holiday let, it's a very, very busy market. Is it temporary? Obviously, the amount of holiday lets of the staycation going on at the minute, the staycation boom, is it going to be a long-term game with the holiday market? Obviously, there's a lot more work involved if you're going to self-manage. These are all sorts of things you need to look at. Then you've got the HMO. HMOs, for those that aren't so familiar, are houses of multiple occupancy. So essentially, if you've got 3 or more people living in a household from different families, that's essentially seen as a HMO. So again, what your areas, I suppose, where you're going to look for a HMO, because HMOs will only work in certain areas very well in terms of big. Falmouth is a big one. Obviously, you've got the student market down there and the young professional market. You've got Truro. These sort of areas work well with HMOs. We've got a large population and not enough housing. But generally throughout Cornwall, we know there's a housing crisis anyway. There's not enough people, not enough properties for people. But these are all sort of things you need to whittle down and to pin down. But buy-to-let, obviously, you could be a bit more free with regards to locations and areas there, Florence. But again, it all comes down to what do you want from property. But hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea. What anything you'd add there, James?
Well, it's firstly, Florence, congratulations. You've got around £190,000 equity. Well done you. I think you fought well once upon a time, and you've made some good money there. So that is amazing. Some things I would probably think about is that, okay, so you said around 190. Well, if it's around about 190, look at the market you're in. You're in a really decent market grade. Well, what if you managed to get the remortgage at £192,000? You would cover that redemption penalty. So that's a green light on my side, because you can squeeze a little bit more out of them, in a very buoyant market. So that's the first thing I would think about. And then secondly, if you think about you're going to wait for 2 years, well, what do we think the interest rates are going to be doing in 2 years' time? I'm not Mystic Meg, I wish I was, but the interest rates are going to be going down because they've only just gone up recently to 0.25% on the increase, so I don't think they're going to be going up. So actually, your mortgage rate in 2 years' time will probably be more. It could even be up by 1%. And if you work out that 1% on your mortgage payments for the year, you might find that exceeds the £1,040 anyway. So now might be the better time to do that. But again, there's no right or wrong answer, but definitely 2 things to think about, because you've got the right property price at the moment, and don't forget in 2 years' time that could also change. That could go down in value. You'd be thinking, it was only £1,000-ish penalty. Why didn't I just do it at the time when the market was buoyant and the interest rates were good? But well done you again for the amount of equity you've got. You're in a very strong position.
Yeah, good predicament to have there, Florence. So hopefully that's helped. If you've got any other questions off the back of that one, Florence, please obviously get in touch again. But hopefully that helps give a little bit of direction. But that's going to then bring us on to question 2. And James, I'm going to fire this one at you. So this is from Zoe in Boscastle. And Zoe has messaged and said, I am interested in getting into property investment, but I do get quite stressed even just thinking about it. Does this mean it's not for me? But I'm worried I don't want to miss out. What are your thoughts? Go on, James.
I think it's a very good question there, Zoe, and I don't think you would be asking this question unless you were, interested in property. So you've got one of the key foundations. You've obviously got, a like in this sector, which is property, as Dan and I have, and all of our listeners and viewers, hopefully. But for me, I can, hands up. It's an honest podcast, and I can get quite stressed even today with my own property investments, and because it can be stressful, and I'm not going to lie and say that it isn't, because you are essentially taking some forms of risk, calculated, albeit, but yeah, it can be stressful. So I sort of worked in my mind, well, how do I minimise that risk of getting stressed? So I don't want to be stressed all the time. That's not the idea. The idea was to get, me a better way of life through property with passive income. So I simply outsourced. I got myself a mentor. I submerged myself with other people, like-minded people, like beautiful Dan over there, who also has a share in property, and Dan can also get stressed at times as well. But I find, a problem that gets me stressed is a problem shared is a problem half. So maybe just start mixing with other people. But essentially, I think stress is perfectly normal, Zoe. And if you don't want to miss out, I would probably say go for it. Just, speak to other people that have been there before you, and I guarantee you at some point they would have got stressed along the way, waiting for a valuation to happen, hoping that the valuation is going to be right, or just the stress of going backwards and forwards, between solicitors and stuff. They say some of the most stressful things in life is death, with bereavement, divorce, and also buying a property. So I think it's absolutely normal to feel stressed. And if you really want to slice the pie, I think you should, steam on, just surround yourself with the right people and don't let your stress get in the way of your dreams. That's what I'd say. How about you, Dan? What do you think?
I think the amount of times I've heard the best time to buy property was yesterday. That was the best time. Best time to get involved was yesterday. But again, Joe, I think your thoughts are in the right lines. Obviously, you're listening to the podcast. You're surrounding yourself with people that are obviously involved in property, talking about property. So you're in the sort of right direction there. And if you want to meet people doing the same thing as well, Zoe, then there's local property meets as well. For example, down here in Cornwall, you've got the Professional Investment Group. There's Your Partnerships property meet as well that goes on. So look up those, get involved. There's people there that are involved with property that are similar situations, positions to yourself in terms of very fresh and new to property, but there's some seasoned experts as well. So it's great to get that broad knowledge. And as James said, just speak to people, put yourself out there and speak to people who are doing what you want to be doing, and you'll get real talk. Hopefully you'll get the real feedback, the real insight into what it takes. But it might be that you just want a mentor, as James said, and just a hand-holding process throughout the whole thing. But again, just keep educating yourself, surround yourself with the people that are doing what you would like to be doing, and hey, who knows where this will take you. So hopefully that helps, Zoe. Thanks, James. Great answer as well, as always. And that brings us to a close on this podcast here today. So thank you again for listening. James, how can people get in touch one last time?
Yeah, absolutely. They can come to us via email and give us on hello@cornwallpropertypodcast.com. They can go to our lovely website, cornwallpropertypodcast.com, or if they're feeling a bit sociable, they can go on our Facebook page and they can reach out to us on the message on there. But as I always say, no question is too big or too small. Just if it's property related, get your question in. Dan and I will do our very utmost to answer it the best way we can.
Fantastic. Definitely so. So guys, if you like the podcast, give us a little like, please subscribe and share it with your friends and others interested in the property market. So thanks again for listening, and that's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me, and I very much look forward to getting back to the recording studio on our next recording. Take care, guys. Bye-bye now.
Cheers. Bye-bye.